What's good? Welcome to another edition of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your host, D Dot. And today we're actually going to come to you with a guest by the name of Alpine Universe. He's a dance, techno musician and artist. And Alpine Universe is going to stop by and talk about his latest project titled Kordee. I hope I'm saying it right. But I got a chance to listen to that before the show. Really like what I heard. His manager, shout out to Laurie, actually reached out to me and inquired about him coming on a podcast. And, definitely glad to have him. And he also has over 130 million Spotify streams. So we're going to talk about that and how he got to that point. If this is your first time here, we like to talk to other music creators or just people within the music industry. It doesn't matter if you're like an artist, a producer, a music production app developer. Maybe you have experience also getting your music in film and television and want to talk about publishing. If that is the case, you can reach out to me on any one of my socials. It's going to be d._major music on Instagram, on TikTok, as well as Threads. And if you're on X, Twitter, it's going to be d.mme. I am on Facebook still, technically speaking. I don't have a personal page, but my artist page is still up. I don't actually have control over that, but some of the things that I post to IG goes there too. So if any of you actually been trying to hit me up through that, just know I haven't been ignoring you. I don't have access to that page anymore, so I can't really respond, though it's still linked to my Instagram. But I can't get in there anyway. So but yeah, if this is you and you'd like to be on a podcast, hit me up on any one of those socials and I'll be sure to reach back out to you. And without much further ado, let's go ahead and get into the interview with Alpine Universe. So how did you get started as a music creator? Like when was it that you decided you wanted to start creating music, and what influenced you?
Music was, I've always been obsessed with music from a young age, and because I was getting so emotional while listening to certain things, and I couldn't understand why it would get me to these places. So I think as long as I can remember, I tried to like play with toy pianos and things like that, and no one in my family is a musician, so my parents, I think, put me in music school for accordion when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
typical like French, and I loved the instrument, but it didn't go well with the teacher, and 6 months later I quit, and then I kept just learning instruments on my own, and yeah, I became pretty good at just I loved the production aspect of it, recording, like I loved gear, and playing in bands like rock bands and things like that. But again, no music background, no teacher, just self-taught.
That's pretty cool. When I think about like me as a music producer, similarly, like I did have a background in music. As far as when I was growing up, I played the trumpet, French horn, baritone, a lot of brass instruments.
Nice.
But like translating that to like music production, because you already have the ear for like music theory and understanding music theory. So it's really just, I kind of just started downloading all these different like apps and buying all these programs to make beats, and that's how I kind of just learned, like trial by error.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, you're also a self-taught producer.
Yeah. So even like with the keys, like I kind of taught myself a little bit. Though I can't play fluently like piano, I could still compose some music if I need to. Or I know some people that play piano fluently as well. So yeah, I can totally relate to that story. Now I see kind of back there you got an acoustic guitar, and then just kind of noticing also on your bio, it did say musician and music composer. do you compose all of your songs with live instruments, or do you kind of do a mix between like playing live instruments and working within a application or digital audio workstation? Like, how do you create?
It really depends on the song, you know. I think I start with what emotion or what world I want to transport the audience into, and then I see what tools I have available to do that. If that makes sense. So I guess my career. So I've been doing music my whole life, but as a hobby. And when I moved to Los Angeles to go to film school, I started making music for film and commercials and like putting like scoring, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
writing music for a visual piece. And that's really like trained me to think, okay, what kind of emotion can I convey besides what's being put on screen? Maybe either enhance what's on screen or something that's kind of in parallel, like a subtext or different. And so to answer your question, it's very much hybrid. Sometimes it's purely acoustic, sometimes it's purely sound design, electronic. But most of my project, which is called Alpine Universe, is a hybrid of both.
yeah, yeah. Now, being that it's a hybrid, like, which app or which program do you work inside of?
My main DAW is Logic Pro,
Okay.
but you know I've experimented with most of them. Um, my live setup, it runs on Ableton Live, so I also have like a project. Alpine Universe is both a solo project when I put out music, but it's also a band where I hired musicians and we actually perform that music.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. I haven't like made music with a full band, but I used to collaborate. I had a friend that was here with me in Dallas who he would come by sometimes and lay down some acoustic guitar tracks or some bass guitar tracks, and that was over a couple of years. He no longer lives here in Dallas, but you know we still kind of collaborate through email that way. So you know I love using live instruments. It's just a different overall feel than working inside a digital audio workstation. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there's a need for both when it comes to being a music creator, because I think that the thought process of actually having an instrument, like if I had a trumpet right now, or if you had your guitar, just the way that you would create, the mindset is different when you're playing an instrument. And then also like that humanistic feel of having that swing, and especially like for drums.
As you're playing, you're feeling something, and
Yeah.
it transpires, I think, in the performance and in the recording. I leave the mistakes, you know. I leave some of the stuff. Some of my most popular songs were recorded on a phone,
Yeah.
and you know, it's crazy. I
They call
it's
that a happy accident.
yeah, and I try to embrace it.
Yeah, yeah, same here. Like, because sometimes I'll play a certain melody, and like, I don't know, sometimes I may lay down or record three or four different melodies, and all of a sudden I find one that I like, and that's the one I stick with. And sometimes I put the other ones in the song too, but you know, like I can tell I made the right choice when I see people moving their head like that and feeling the music as well. So now I want to kind of circle back around to something you said previously, that you create music not only like for, you know, streaming platforms, but also you do a lot of film and television, being that you're in you went to LA for film school. And what I also think, like a lot of listeners, because we've had people on here in the past that have done film and TV scoring, but like a lot of creators really don't know that mindset or the way that you create like a track for streaming platforms versus scoring is completely different, because sometimes you'll contact these music managers for some of these opportunities, and they'll tell you, you know, specifics. They want it maybe 30 seconds to a minute long. They want it to end a certain way. You know, they don't want to tag in it. It's just a lot of different things that you have to prepare for whenever you're sending it into publishing. So, like with that said, what is your mindset like when you're creating something more so for like a streaming platform or for commercial release versus something that you're doing for scoring? Like, how does your mindset, how do you create differently rather?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you also showed those different ways of approaching making music when the supervisor, is for certain criterias. There's also a so that would be, I would say, the sync side of it, where music supervisors will send out briefs with like, hey, we want this style, this many, like you said, 30 seconds, no. And then they pitch it. But there's also the film scoring side, which is slightly different. Is we have, let's say, a commercial or a scene, and then we write the music to the edit that's already there. Sometimes also trailers, they're very codified. So, for example, one of my most streamed track is called "The Empire of Winds," which is actually um, an instrumental that I made for a trailer for a movie of the same name. And I thought it had a it had cool moments, so I did another edit where I created almost like a verse, chorus, bridge, more like a regular pop song structure, and wrote lyrics on top of it. So that one is a great example of something that was created for a film, in that case for the trailer of that film, with a very specific structure, which I re-edited into an instrumental that was more like a 3-minute pop song, and then wrote lyrics on top, almost like a top liner. So yeah, I guess there are crossovers, but it's mostly the structure that's different, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. As I've had opportunities where I've had tracks that I've sent in, and the supervisor tells me they like the track, but it's too long for what they're looking for at that time. And with that kind of said, like in terms of time, sometimes you might only have 24 to 48 hours to get it right and send it in, and they're on to the next opportunity. So you have to really make sure that, like, as a music creator, and that's what I always encourage, reach out to these music supervisors, see what they're looking for, try to make your tracks and, practice that style, because it's even like sometimes I'll try to, I have scoring. I have publishing, but more like for video games. I don't have anything in film and television. But like that's the next goal for me, is trying to figure a way to get a project or a song that can be accepted for one of those. And even like songs that you've had out for years, you don't sleep on those as well, because that could be something that somebody picks up later on down the line. Like Ludacris, I'm watching TV, and a rapper Ludacris, he had the song "Roll Out" that was featured in a Lowe's commercial, and that song came out over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
So you just never know who's listening and what they're looking for.
very true.
Now, I got a chance also to listen to your album Kordee. Yeah, yeah. What was your influence? Great album, by the way. Great album. Love the energy of the album. But what inspired you to create this album?
Thanks. Well, thanks for taking the time to listen. It is, it's its own thing, and it's my second album with Alpine Universe. And the Alpine Universe is, it's kind of when I started this project, I imagined scoring a story that was kind of like this sci-fi, what the world would look like in the future type story. And each song is about a character or moment or a scene that happens in the story. And for the second album, I wanted to explore more of the mindsets of those characters called the Alpines in the Alpine universe. They're kind of like these wise spiritually elevated beings, and um, and it's all about learning from the past, uh, the fact that we're all connected as humans, and we learn from our family, our ancestors, other humans, and we also depend on each other. And the title Kordee refers to a rope party, so it's a French word for when climbers try to achieve like high peaks, high mountains. They they're connected together, and they all depend on each other, and they kind of for safety, but also it sometimes can be a burden to it's slower and it's more cumbersome. And the idea of we need both, and we need to rely on each other and love each other, and that way we can achieve uh, the high summits that we aim for.
Yeah, yeah, that's all true. I mean, you can accomplish more as a team together, and yeah, to reach the goals that were not possible before. I like that concept.
So that's yes, the whole concept of bettering yourself, I guess, and but all in the context of this futuristic um, fantasy world, and it's very epic. It's very high energy, um, sometimes dark.
Now, this came out this year, or was it last year?
Yeah, it just came out in February, so
Okay, okay.
so
And now,
January 23rd.
okay, okay. Do you have any music videos for it?
Yeah, so we have two. I say we because I included the band in it. We shot a few videos. The newest one is coming out in 2 weeks. It's for the song Tool. It's gonna be awesome. I worked with this guy, Cantor, aka Flo Chucker, who's a fire dancer and sword swinger. It's epic. So we have like big fire and violins and metal guitars, and this is gonna be fun.
That's awesome. I'll have to definitely take a look at that after the show. Now, also kind of, and this goes with the album and all of your music, but noticing as well, you have over 130 million Spotify streams. Now, well, congrats on that first and foremost. With that said, like as far as the way that you bring attention to your album, like what things do you do to promote? Like, how did you reach this goal?
Um, so I believe it's a combination of many things, luck too, um, but mostly so the Empire of Winds, that song was placed in a major Spotify official playlist. So I started gaining plays from an unexpected niche, which was kind of like the Viking, Nordic, pagan community of music listeners. I was like, okay, there's something there. I never thought of it. Um, so I started advertising this track to on social platforms, like actually paying money to put ads and targeting these types of people, and it really brought a big audience, which I thought was much bigger than I expected. And then I also released tons of music. I would release a single every 6 weeks,
Wow.
and not think too much about it, but do always like an album cover, a canvas, like little visuals, lyric videos, all this, like all the package to properly release the song. Not too much promotion. I stopped doing like playlist placements and things like that, but just let the organic or uh, the algorithm know that okay, I'm putting out this type of music. These types of people seem to like it, and it kind of snowballed
Yeah.
until. Um, but what's very interesting is that my style is pretty inconsistent, and during the pandemic, I started putting out these acoustic versions, like just a cappella, just my voice on Instagram, and people were like, "Oh, that'd be cool to have it on Spotify." And I didn't know what to release at the time because I was kind of running out of ideas for the singles. So I put out an acoustic EP of just a cappellas, and those a year later went viral. I think there was like a sea shanty um, trend going on TikTok, and I don't know, like one of the songs really blew up, and it brought a whole other wave of new
Wow.
listeners to my Spotify, and it's been tremendous. And now I can live off of Spotify and not have to do too much film scoring or other projects outside.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Like, I commend you on that. And this is one of the things we talk about on this podcast a lot, as far as like, I wouldn't necessarily say, I mean, yeah, it is a form of promotion, but like the actual promoting one of, um, like Instagram, for example, purchasing ads. That's something that's key when you're releasing a project or even like a music video, for example. And then on top of that, like me personally, I took the route also of not necessarily like the Spotify playlist, for example, but I've been on other like independent playlists with Apple Music and Spotify, for example, where it's kind of boosted some plays and bring awareness to the music. And another thing that I kind of noticed, which kind of with your story as well, is like when you do that type of stuff, you may not gain like even 100 fans. But the point being, you might gain that one fan or the two fans that go back and listen to some of your older music, and it's just kind of like a trickle down effect. So I think promotion can work in a lot of different ways, and I think a lot of like creators, they don't think about promoting. They're just putting out music videos or albums, but they don't necessarily think about promoting it. They get frustrated over time and they end up quitting music. So I think that, promoting your work, you should have a definite good plan behind how you're going to do it, whether it's a video, whether it's an album. But yeah, even like if you don't have a budget for promotion, create content. That's what you mentioned, during the pandemic. Like sometimes I'll do beat making videos that is kind of my form of promotion of driving people to my website. So I think content is definitely important.
Yeah, and it's tough, I feel like things are changing so fast, and attention spans are changing as well. The way people consume music, the way music is produced. I don't want to open that can of worms with these days, AI and things like that.
Oh yeah,
There are
yeah.
so many challenges for us creators. Um, so that's why I try to abstract it all and think, okay, what do I um, react emotionally to as a listener, and how would I want to touch someone like myself? And hopefully it'll find its audience, but it's a challenge for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I notice also that you're active on social media, and one, you kind of told that a little bit of that story a moment ago, as far as like how posting to social media has helped, with helping promote your music. But has it helped you in any other way? Because also, like another thing that I noticed these days, there are some artists that even been on this podcast, and that's kind of what I look for too, is people that are consistent as far as being active, whether it's social media or releasing music. But I also know like a lot of creators, for example, and I kind of talked about it, that they drop music, they drop videos, but they're not active on social media, and it's not necessarily, they're not promoting their projects in any way, and they go on to the next. But years go by, and I think you could probably realize that even myself, like I realized that older albums that I've came out with, I could have promoted better. So like, has it helped you, whether it's gaining more fans or whether it's also maybe even getting other opportunities? In fact, it's helped me. Like, this is an opportunity just talking to you, because posting to Instagram, that's how I met Laurie. And then, here we are later talking to you. So how has it helped you?
Example. Um, yeah, I would. So I don't consider myself a very good at social media. I actually don't post that much. I use mainly Instagram to just showcase the visual world in case people, because the songs are very much into that world of mountains and nature and uh, future, I guess, sci-fi. So I use social media to kind of illustrate that, but I don't expect my own account to really capture more audience. I don't try to follow trends. I don't post very often. It's more like if someone is curious, they can check it out and see what it is about. And there's, some like behind the scenes on how I create the songs, and it's just to kind of show my personality and my brand,
Yeah.
that it's a real person making the music. It's all crafted, with real instruments. I sing the songs, I write the songs. Um, but the second part, I think, which is about advertising. So I use my account to advertise, but really it funnels straight to Spotify.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to necessarily gain more followers on social media because it I realize it's a very low return on investment. You might get someone to follow you, but will they see your next posts if they're not super viral? Will they? And I've noticed like my engagement is fairly low, um, and my followers are actually also pretty low. So I don't expect my own account to really like capture a bigger audience, but more solidify the one that already exists.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I use it in a similar fashion. I mean, I post a couple of times out the week, um,
Good,
but I
actually.
kind of use it like I post most of my longer content on YouTube,
Yeah,
and I take Instagram and even TikTok to post more condensed versions of
right.
those that content that I put on YouTube. So that's mainly how I use it. But yeah, and I've noticed that it's changed from the standpoint like the regulars are still there, but at the same time, it's like I felt like at a point that the growth has kind of stagnated to some degree on Instagram, and that's why I always kind of say like to some degree you also want to like be on multiple platforms, not just necessarily one. But yeah, I can totally understand. Not necessarily wanting to. You're not necessarily posting for attention or anything like that, but you're posting just to connect with your fans.
Yeah, that too. And I am pretty open with my fans. Like I respond to DMs the best I can, and oftentimes they're very dedicated and respectful, and it's been amazing. I launched some special edition items on my store too, so I sell yeah, like limited edition CDs and vinyls and things like that. So the true the true fans who want to support have a way to do this, and it's very personal. I'll handwrite the notes and package it myself, and yeah, I think there's a lot of value to fostering the relationship with the people who've supported my music for so long.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good move as well. I see more and more people, whether it's CDs, DVDs. I see some people even have cassettes
Yes.
now, limited edition cassettes that they make of their albums, and they sell them to their fans. And it's also with the amount of like money or lack thereof per se that we get from streaming, merch sales and physical sales are a lot better route to go, and you make more. I'd rather sell 10 CDs at $10 a pop than to have 10 people stream my CD or my album on any of these platforms. So yeah, that's a great way to go.
It's interesting. I also try, you know, to really look at the math and really look at music, if we remove ourselves as artists but see it as a product. And you may sell your CD to one person, and yes, it's one sale, but that person, if they really love your CD, they might listen to it 1,000 times
Yeah, yeah,
or 10,000 times over years. And so if you equate that to streaming, it's actually better for them to stream. You would make more money with streaming.
yeah,
And also think about like the cost of producing that CD in the first place, um, which you have to advance even before knowing if someone is going to buy it or not. So I still do think that streaming can be a very positive thing for artists, and I think it's a bit of both. That's why some people will want the physical thing and won't drop their hard-earned money on that one thing, but also they might pay their $10 or $12 subscription to the streaming service and just stream the shit out of your music because they're
Yeah.
obsessed with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's very true because I've done that in the past where I bought somebody's CD. I don't open it, but I stream it on the platform, and I just keep it kind of as
But as
collectible item. So
exactly.
you know that's pretty cool. What where can our listeners find all of your merch at and music?
In general, if you type Alpine Universe on Google, you'll find it's Instagram at Alpine Universe, YouTube, my website. So the store is store.alpineuniverse.com. Yeah, you'll find the tour dates and the merch and all streaming platforms. Also, in your Instagram or TikTok, you can add my sounds and put them to your videos. I try to reshare the coolest ones, so that's also one way to connect with me. Is just to tag me in your reel or your TikToks, and I'll just repost.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead and hit him with a tag and check out the merch. Definitely check out the merch. Now, do you have any? I know we're just April 1st today, um, but like, do you have any like plans for the remainder of 2026 musically, or even with any filmmaking?
Good question. So right now I'm focusing on the two videos we have. Uh, a version of my song Lodi, which was recorded with a string quartet, and so that's coming out in a couple of weeks as well. Tool, and then I want to make acoustic versions of some of the songs on the album. So that's for the music production side. But then right now I'm working with the band to start a residency around California.
Yeah.
Work to have more live shows and hopefully present the whole concept in a concert form.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm ever back in your neck of the woods, I would definitely love to come out to a show and check you out, brother. I think that
Yeah,
would be really
definitely.
cool. Yeah. Where can our listeners find you at on social platforms?
Just Alpine Universe in one word. Yeah, you'll find all socials are this handle.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and hit Alpine Universe with a follow. You can follow me on any of my socials at d._major music. That's Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, as well as if you're on X or Twitter, it's going to be d.mme. But on Twitter, X, I mainly talk more sports, not necessarily music, so it's a little bit different there. And if you hung around for the entirety of this interview, consider subscribing. We like to post new interviews with artists coming on and producers talking about their journey creating music. And we also post to all streaming platforms. So if you can't see the video version, you can catch it on the road while you're traveling. It was definitely a pleasure to talk to Alpine Universe about his journey creating music. Real quick, do you have any shout outs for like supporters or fellow musicians?
Shout out to my band and to you, D Dot, and to Laurie who connected us, and I think that's about it. And also shout out to the founders who have bought my special edition CD. And if you go to temple.alpineuniverse.com, you can see all their names, and they're very dear to my heart. They've supported the project at a level that nobody has in the past. So thanks to all.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And shout out to Laurie as well, again for connecting us. And she always sends her clients my direction, and I really appreciate that. And definitely yourself, Alpine. It's like I said before, if you have anything in the near future or whenever, feel free to reach out and we can do this again.
Thank you, D. Dot. Great meeting you, and thanks for having me today.
No problem. This has been another episode of the Major Music Lounge with D. Dot and Alpine Universe, and we are out.
I'm not Pac, but it's like me against the world. British cap like Cube with a Jerry curl. Diamonds and pearls, get the paper, yes I want it all. They smile in your face with hope for your downfall. They only call during the good times, never bad. Keep it moving, I don't need no new comrades. You sound sad from the outside looking in. That be the reason I don't broadcast my every win. I'm about to take a spin, sunny day, windows down. Roll up, just ride, time to smoke a pound. Craft sounds, visualize audio pictures. If I don't get a wife, I just want a mistress. Lyrical fitness, repetition, get better. I'm a cool ass nigga, better bring a sweater. A trendsetter in a cut, I'm just doing me. In a match, winner title 1, 2, 3.